Mara Holt's boots clanged softly on the steel gangway, a metronome to the endless night outside. 2 meters beyond the carriage wall, wind screamed across an earth entombed in a shell of ice 3 kilometers thick. The train's hull shuddered, frost blooming and receding in frantic whirls as reactor heat pulsed through embedded coil. Every 9 minutes, the Circumline Express crossed its own ghostly wake on the planetary ring. One continuous ribbon of track, the last artery of humankind, stitched together before the seas locked and the cities cracked. Mara straightened the brim of her conductor's cap and pressed her thumb to the biometric panel on car 227's service door. The lock disengaged with a chirp. Inside, a thin tang of ozone rode the air. That smell always comforted her. It meant the reactor deep in the train's spine was breathing, drinking snow and exhaling warmth. Life. A voice crackled through her collar mic. Conductor Holt, reactor fluctuation again. Section D4 regulator reads 4 degrees low. Copy, she replied, already moving. I'm 20 cars out. Advise engineering to prep shutters for possible manual override. Her first year on the rails, drops like this had been weekly nuisances. Centuries-old coolant lines coughed, thermostats sulked. But the last 6 months, the deviations had grown rhythmic, almost deliberate, as if the Express itself were inhaling with one lung collapsed. Mara crossed into the passenger quarter. Lights dimmed to amber for sleep cycle, casting the berths in sepia hush. A few wanderers roamed, shift workers from hydroponics, a mother nursing an infant swaddled in patchwork thermal layers. They nodded to her, placing electric faith in a uniform stitched with fading silver thread. She nodded back, pretending she deserved it. At the junction to car 240 she paused. The regulator panel glowed icy blue, colder than it should. A strip of frost crept along the seam. Engineering confirm. Are you seeing this? A beat of static. Then Chief Engineer Yegorov. Reading same. Ventries show no leaks. I'm dispatching Ramos. Negative, Mara said. Closest. I'll inspect. She unclipped the manual crank, popped the latch, and swung the panel open. Inside, the coolant manifold pulsed faintly, each throb synchronized to the reactor's nuclear heart many cars ahead. Yet the return valve was crusted white. She brushed it with gloved fingers. Frost snowed off like brittle dandruff. Someone had dialed the setting a quarter turn clockwise, enough to starve the segment of hot coolant and let cold migrate in. Gravity in the Express was artificial, generated by momentum and subtle magnetic pulses beneath the rails. Still, sweat slid down her spine. Accidents happen, sure. But a quarter turn clockwise wasn't a slip, it was intent. She resealed the panel and returned along the corridor. Frost already laced the bulkhead's edge. Every minor chill multiplied by the endless sub-zero outside, by the velocity of wind scouring the hull. Left unchecked, that single valve could spiderweb cold through 80 cars before alarms screamed at thresholds too late for children in berth bunks. For the 1000th time, Mara remembered the archival footage from before. Toddlers splashing in warm oceans, sunburnt couples complaining about heat waves. When the sun began its maunder slump and the jet streams buckled, governments poured gold into the Circumline blueprint. 1,000 kilometers per hour around the equator, the slogan had boasted, forever chasing the horizon of dawn. Now that boast was gospel, an iron prayer recited at every shift meeting. Keep moving, keep warm, keep alive. Mara keyed her mic. Engineer Yegorov, that valve was tampered with. I'm initiating security protocol Sigma 9. A brief silence. Understood. You require backup? Send security cadet Imani to meet me at maintenance compartment 35. Also, run a full manifest of staff with access clearance between 200 and now. The manifest would list almost everyone. The Express was a paradox, a single biome that had to function like a city, yet small enough that secrets rotted quickly. Still, sabotage thrived in cracks between purpose and despair. She reached compartment 35, an alcove packed with sensor banks and flex screens. Cadet Imani arrived moments later, panting. He was barely 18, scrawny but bright-eyed, the sort Earth had once given futures instead of bare survival. Mara locked the door behind him. "Scope," she ordered, nodding at the terminal. He deployed a multi-lens wand through the service conduit, sending microcrawlers to analyze the cooldown path. Fluorescent graphs sprung across the screens. "Look," Imani said, pointing to a descending line. "Cold front originated in D4 precisely 90 minutes ago. Spread pattern suggests additional constrictions in car 259 and car 310. 3 points, Mara muttered. Somebody's walking the length, nudging valves like dominoes. Who'd risk it? Imani asked. Too easy to get caught on cameras, Mara grimaced. Cameras cover corridors, not service crawlways, and if you wear thermal mesh that blocks your heat signature, Imani paled. The stillness. He said the name as if it were superstition. Most passengers whispered of the stillness, a cult that preached surrender to the ice, claiming humanity's flight was arrogant defiance of nature's verdict. Their pamphlets sprouted on dinner tables, their slogans graffitied onto observation windows. Be still. Let the earth rest. No proof, Mira said, but we've ignored rumors too long. She tapped the comm. Yegorov, I need full schematics for coolant flow between cars 220 and 340. Also isolate camera feeds for service hatches along that strip. Timestamp 90 minutes ago. Already on it, he replied. While waiting, Mara eyed the polar view outside the narrow porthole. Night, suffused with aurora, bruised purples and acid greens, beauty unspooling over death. She recalled the day recruiters pulled her from a refugee camp near the collapsed Panama Isthmus. 10 years old, frostbitten to the bone. They taught her rails, reactor baselines, emergency procedures, but never how to decipher humans set on suicide. Feed footage flickered onto the screen. The hallway camera outside car 258 captured a figure in maintenance grays kneeling by a hatch, prying it open. The timestamp matched. The figure's face was hidden beneath a thick hood, but the posture, broad shoulders, steady hands, was unmistakably adult. He or she slipped inside. Hatch sealed, camera feed resumed, blank hallway. Overlay staff log, Mara said. Imani typed. Only personnel registered in that sector then. Dr. Elliot Vance, hydroponics, technician Song Reza, ventilation and conductor supervisor. Mara Holt, she finished, mouth tightening. I was 2 cars away auditing fire retardant canisters. She rubbed her temples. Run, Vance and Song, compare gate metrics. Imani's fingers danced. Moments later, outlines coalesced. Technician Song Reza's shoulder width matched. At 84%, shoe indentations on deck plating matched her work boots within 2 millimeters. Probability 0.92. Mara inhaled slowly. Song Reza was quiet, efficient. 6 years in ventilation, no disciplinary records, no family passengers. People like that faded into the train's hum. Location of Song? Mara asked. Imani checked. Assigned sleep berth, car 450, but proximity sensor shows vacated 30 minutes ago. Alert security to track and detain non-lethal, Mara ordered. She left Imani monitoring spikes and headed aft. Above, corridor lights shifted from amber to ice blue as power rerouted to compensate for the sabotage. Each hue change painted anxious shadows across the faces of waking passengers. Questions started to bloom. Mara held up her badge. Maintenance drill, please remain in quarters. Her voice steadied them, though her pulse sprinted. Halfway to car 300, a soft boom reverberated, like distant thunder muffled by snow. Emergency strobes winked red. Report, Mara shouted into her mic. Yegorov, we just lost Venturay 7B. Incident in car 310, coolant line ruptured, flash frozen compartment, automated seals engaged, working to stabilize. A rupture meant a localized pressure blast, the boom she'd felt. If seals failed, the cold would flood adjoining cars in seconds. Where's Song Reza? She demanded. Unaccounted, said security. Thermal trackers showing nothing could have disabled her ID chip. Mara turned a corner and nearly collided with Alexander Pierce, chairman of the passenger committee. Silver head, impeccably pressed coat, an entourage of aides fluttering behind him. "Conductor Holt!" Pierce barked. "What in God's name is happening? People sense the temperature drop. Rumors of sabotage already spiral." "I have it contained," Mara replied, sidestepping. Pierce planted a hand on her arm. "You will brief the committee now." "Later," Mara snapped, shaking him off. "Right now, I'm plugging the hole before we all turn into statues." His eyes narrowed. "If you fail, there'll be no later." She was already moving again, muttering curses. Politics, the one contagion resilient even to planetary winter. At car 310 sealed hatch, frost fogged the viewport. Inside, ice coated every surface, chairs like sugar sculptures. Dangling wires crusted white. 2 frozen corpses floated against the far wall. Engineers caught in the rupture. Their eyes were rings of glass, mouths open in silent testimony against those who chose stillness. Mara's throat constricted. She keyed the intercom. "Yegorov? Extractable? Containment stable, but we need to reroute coolant bypass manually at junction 312 to restore loop. Otherwise, the entire aft section loses heat within 40 minutes. On it." She pulled herself into the maintenance crawlway running parallel above the main corridor. Heat radiators pulsed under her palms, still warm. But as she neared junction 3012, warmth ebbed. The crawl space ended at a grated platform overlooking a cathedral of pipes. A single silhouette moved below, torchlight dancing across valves. Song Reza. Mara slid down a ladder, boots whispering on metal. She drew her stunner pistol. "Song." The technician spun, goggles reflecting light like twin moons. In her hand she held a spindle wrench poised at another valve. Around her neck hung a necklace of blackened ice fragments, stillness insignia. "Step away," Mara ordered. "Hands where I can see." Song's voice was calm. "You feel it, don't you, conductor? The planet begging for silence." "It's not begging, it's dead. We're what's left." "That's your fear talking," Song said. "Humans inflicted wound after wound. Now we cling to this machine, burning holes through snow with our reactor. Can't you hear the Earth's sigh in pain?" Mara advanced a step. "Sabotage killed 2 engineers. They have peace now," Song murmured. She glanced toward the valve. "One twist more and the loop freezes solid. Reactor will scram from thermal shock. Train stalls. Power dies. The end will be swift." Mara's finger tightened on the stunner. "Don't." Song smiled sadly. "We've run from judgment long enough." She swung the spindle. Mara fired. Blue arcs erupted, slamming Song backward. The wrench clattered across the grating. Mara closed, cuffing her wrists. Song's lips were pale, eyes unfocused. "When the train stops," she whispered, "step outside. You'll see stars so bright they'll burn away regret." Mara felt an unexpected pang. Pity or fear that maybe, somewhere beneath duty, she too yearned for stillness? She shook it off. Not today. She bound Song to a ladder rung, snatched the wrench, and inspected the valve still intact, though partially constricted. She repositioned, wrenched it open, warmth surged through the pipe, frost steaming off. "Bypass restored," she reported, "heat levels stabilizing." Yegorov confirmed. "Good work." Security soon arrived to escort Song. Mara tagged along until they reached the brig, a retrofitted cargo cabin with transparent aluminum cells. Song stood quietly as restraints secured her. Before the door slid, she spoke. "You can jail me, but belief spreads in silence. Others will finish." Mara met her gaze. "Maybe, but I'll keep moving." After the brig, Mara headed to engineering deck. Yegorov greeted her with weary relief. Screens displayed rising temperature gradients. The reactor hum balanced to its familiar purr. "Casualty report," Mara asked. "2 dead, as you saw. A 3rd frostbitten. Could have been thousands." Yegorov rubbed his face. "Chairman Pierce demands we flare the reactor core to reassure passengers. Tell Pierce we'll do a controlled heat burst, no theatrics." "And I'll brief the committee once we're clear," Yegorov smirked. You love biting the hand that signs your ration slips. Mara sighed, leaning against a panel. Hand keeps waving mirrors while wolves gnaw at the door. She allowed herself a minute. Images fluttered. Engineers freezing mid-breath. Passengers huddled in communal shelters if the train ever stopped. The earth outside a sphere of ice but still spinning, indifferent. She stood. I need to check auxiliary cams. If Song had accomplices, they might have planted redundancy. Mani sweeping, Yegorov said. I trust him, Mara said. But another set of eyes never hurts. She left engineering and cut through the cultural car. Murals of summer fields, recorded bird song piping through speakers. Children scribbled chalk suns on the floor, adults pretending not to notice frost scars along the baseboards. Mara's uniform drew questions. Was the danger over? Would the heat return? She offered practiced assurances, felt their warmth of gratitude like borrowed fire. At the committee chamber, she faced Pierce and the other appointed elites. She summarized the sabotage, casualties, corrective actions, and proposed upgrades. Motion detectors in service shafts, thermal mesh scanners, mandatory psyche evaluations of maintenance crew. Pierce folded his hands. The passenger body will demand punishment. We'll follow jurisprudence, Mara answered, but we must also address the ideology spreading. Stillness recruits among those who've lost hope. You suggest. What? Therapy sessions? Pierce scoffed. Purpose, Mara said. Let passengers participate in maintenance audits, greenhouse shifts, education. The train survives when people see themselves as gears, not cargo. She locked eyes with him, otherwise they ponder release. Pierce's jaw bulged, but another committee member, Dr. Salma Zayed, nodded slowly. Conductor Holt is right. The walls between roles become ice themselves. They dismissed her with promises to deliberate. She exited, already skeptical. Hours later, she walked the observational deck alone. The sky was a river of glimmering dust. Reactor coils beneath the window heated her boots. She closed her eyes, replayed Song's words. Step outside, see the stars. How easy it would be to let the valve twist, to rest. But Mara remembered being 10, wrapped in a rescue blanket aboard a shuttle to this train, seeing the rails glow red in the distance, like molten thread stitching a wound. An officer then had knelt and said, "The world turned its back, but the rails face forward. If you choose to walk them, you keep others upright." She opened her eyes. Far ahead, the track curved into night. The Circumline Express would chase dawn in vain. There was no true dawn now, but pursuit itself birthed heat. Movement was the hearth. Mara touched the glass, feeling reactor warmth bleed into her palm. Her wrist comm chimed. Imani. Conductor, final diagnostics clean. Heat equilibrium nominal. Good, she said. Run the loop again in 2 hours. Still worried? Just diligent. She ended the call but did not leave the window. Outside, distant lightning crackled across glacier fields, veins of blue fire carving canyons in the clouds. The planet was not dead, only dreaming. She thought of Song in her cell, of engineers patching ruptures, parents telling bedtime tales of beaches their children would never see. The train sped on, a horizontal lighthouse, its beam of nuclear warmth stretching across continents of ice. Mara adjusted her cap, turned and began her patrol anew, boots clanging the eternal rhythm while, behind her, the engine roared, a defiant lullaby against the stillness.